More than 200 boats and over 1,000 sailors journey to the Eastern Caribbean each year for the St. Martin Heineken Regatta. Robbie Ferrin is the founder of this legendary event, and he remembers how it all started.
We started off with a very few boats in 1980, and we grew from a very small little regatta to one that has spread to be the biggest, and still the biggest in the Caribbean.
The Heineken Regatta attracts to St. Martin the world's best yachtsman, Olympic medalist and America's Cup champion, Peter Holmberg.
I think what's wonderful about the sport of sailing, it is one of the most complex sports in the world. Runners run in a track. The track doesn't move. Our field moves all the time. So you've got to be a weatherman. You also have to be an athlete to sail the boat perfectly. You've got to be tactically very, very smart. And you've got to do it all right. And that's what makes sailing so great.
Designer of the multi-hull Fado, Lloyd Thornburg combines technology with his passion for sailing.
Using Mother Nature's force to move through the water at such high speed is just really beyond description. It's something very special.
Aspiring sailors like Jaime Torres of Smile and Wave test their skills against the power of Mother Nature. Sailing creates self-reliance, independence. It pits you against elements that are way more powerful than you. The warm waters of the Caribbean embrace our voyage as we set sail for the 31st St. Martin Heineken Regatta. St. Martin, jewel in the Caribbean sun, 37 square miles, surrounded by pure sailing paradise. I'm Mark Donaldson, your host for this adventure, and I'm joined by ESPN's Annette Ravenel and my co-host Joe Ankier over at Simpson Bay.
Welcome to the stunning island of St. Martin in the Eastern Caribbean for what promises to be a spectacle of serious sport mixed with serious fun. What started as a boat race has grown over 3 decades to become one of the most successful yacht races ever, attracting mega racing yachts and some of the most accomplished round-the-world sailors and Olympic medalists. For 3 days of competitive sailing and some all-important Caribbean fun, join us for the 31st St. Martin Heineken Regatta. Thanks, Joe. Hosted by the St. Martin Yacht Club, this year's Heineken Regatta attracted an entry list of nearly 200 boats racing in 18 separate divisions. The largest fleet is the CSA monohull classes. There were also divisions for multi-hulls, chartered or bareboats, and a lottery class for less competitive cruising boats. The week-long regatta is actually 3 events in one: the Budget Marine Match Racing Cup, the Gill Commodores Cup, and a 3-day Heineken Regatta. Peter Holmberg of the US Virgin Islands, an Olympic medalist and America's Cup winner, was one of the few sailors who competed in all the events.
First, the Olympics. That's a high finesse and a lot of training. The America's Cup is complete training, and you really learn your sport completely doing the America's Cup. And so now to come here for me and do this, I mean, the level of racing we have on board our boat, I demand the same. So we have the same level of performance on board our boat, but it's a relaxed atmosphere. So we turn on the competition level when we're on the boat, and then when you come to shore, you can relax.
In order to go fast, your equipment needs to be first class and meet the unforeseen challenges of sailing. INTAC's Melgis 32 showcases an exceptional breed of sailboat.
You would call this a Ferrari of the sailing world. It's very highly tuned and it takes a lot of concentration. It's not like a big old Ford going down the highway. This is a car, a boat that you need to be exactly on. And so it rewards you with sailing it really well. It's high performance, very high performance. 32 feet, it really gets going in the breeze, and great boat for down here. One of my private goals is to make the Caribbean one of the best places in the world to race and raise the level of competition. And Heineken is doing the job for me. This is a wonderful event. It's attracting the best guys in the world here, and girls. And so I give 100% effort to any event here in the Caribbean. It's different than the America's Cup, but it's 100% competitive racing and really good.
Peter Holmberg's first goal of the week was to defend his title as the 2-time champion of the Budget Marine Match Racing Cup. Under clear Caribbean skies and a shifty breeze, ranging from 6 knots to the mid-teens, conditions were absolutely ideal. Match racing is perhaps the purest form of sailboat racing, one crew against the other in identical 21-foot boats. The clear favourites were Holmberg and New Zealander Gavin Brady. Once again, it came down to old rivals Holmberg and Brady, But this year, Brady was at the absolute top of his game, and while the racing was tight, the Kiwi ace defeated Holmberg to earn the $5,000 check as the winner of the Budget Marine Match Racing Cup. Holmberg's second place was good enough for $3,000.
What we have is digital results. In the past, we've always had paper results, and it tends to be that the paper disappears or it's not up to date. So we've invested a lot of time and energy and money into putting screens. And so basically the results as they come off the water, as soon as the results are taken and the time is taken on the finished boat, they enter it onto the computer that's on the finished boat. And so what's nice about it is we're the first in the Caribbean, and we're always trying to keep things innovative and keep things up to date.
With a top-notch digital scoring system in place, the horn sounded to begin the one-day Gills Commodores Cup. But there'd been a decided change in the weather. At the noontime start, after a squally morning, the seas were running a good 2 to 4 feet. The southeast trade winds had filled in at a steady 12 to 14 knots. As the afternoon progressed, however, the skies cleared, making for an excellent day of racing. 39 of the top racing boats in the Heineken fleet, ranging in size from 24 to 90 feet, entered the Commodore's Cup. The competitors in the Commodore's Cup sailed around fixed buoys on a closed course, which put a premium on boat handling and manoeuvring. After sailing the upwind portion of the course, the racers would bear away after rounding the mark and hoist big spinnakers, or kites, for the downwind run to the next buoy. After his second place finish in the match racing series, Peter Holmberg joined the crew of Team INTAC. Ironically, INTAC teammate Mark Claxton had sailed with Gavin Brady and helped beat Holmberg earlier in the week. But that's sailing, and now the former rivals had become allies with a common goal: to dominate the field in the highly competitive CSA 2 class, and that's precisely what they did. The main shopping district, Front Street, is located in the heart of Philipsburg, the main port city on the Dutch side of St. Martin. This is where we find Annette Ravenel.
Old Street's very popular among the tourists here in Philipsburg in St. Martin, especially the ones that want to break away from the crowd and select quietly their treasures.
Thanks, Annette. Philipsburg is 4 parallel streets 1 mile long. Not only bountiful with duty-free shopping, they provide us with a look back into the island's past. We'll return to the Heineken Regatta. Our next sailing venue will be the race around St. Martin, and it'll finish in Great Bay. Annette will be visiting with Puerto Rican sailor Jaime Torres, skipper of Smile and Wave Racing. He competes in the CSA 5 class. Later on, we'll preview some of the serious fun that's in store for all you sailing fans out there when the 31st St. Martin Heineken Regatta continues. Joe and Annette will get us closer to a true marvel of nautical technology, the magnificent multi-hull spectacle, Fado. Welcome back to St. Martin. Mark Donaldson along with Joe Ankier and Annette Ravenel. This is Philipsburg, St. Martin, where our next race, the race around the island, will finish right here in Great Bay. Puerto Rico's Jaime Torres skippers a Beneteau 40, competing in the CSA 5 class. Annette had a chance to visit with him and the Smile and Wave sailing team.
Sailing creates self-reliance, independence. It pits you against elements that are way, way, way more powerful than you. And you don't fight them, you flow with them. And when you get into the flow, it just works for you. When I first brought my crew on board, I said to them, I said, I have a vision of us taking the Smile and Wave sailing team to great places, to great regattas. I think one of the magical things that happened was that the crew believed in my vision and they made it their own. We race in CSA 5. CSA is Caribbean Sailing Association 5, and what they do is they divide all the boats so that similar sized or performance boats sail together in a class. You don't want really huge boats and tiny boats racing together. It's a very great racing rule that we have in the Caribbean, and we're having lots of fun. There's lots of boats racing here in St. Martin.
The race around the island begins with the A start, showcasing the bigger boats, CSA 1 to 6, and the multi-hulls, sailing around Tantamar, finishing in Great Bay. The B start includes the smaller boats, CSA 7 and 8, and the bare boats or chartered boats. Although not quite perfect conditions for sailing, still a respectable wind speed of 8 to 10 knots, seas 2 to 5 feet, warm temperatures, and some cloudy skies with some squalls. Here's Joe again.
Just outside Simpson Bay, the boats are lined up, ready to go for the start of the Heineken Regatta. Today's race is around the island. The longest of the 3 races, circumnavigating St. Martin, starting at the Dutch side, going around the French side and finishing in the Great Bay, giving the sailors some breathtaking views of the island whilst they battle it out.
The key to success in any yacht race comes down to some basic fundamentals. You always want to hit the starting line as the horn sounds at full speed. Next, sail in clean air, which means avoiding the disturbed wind behind other boats. You cover your competition by staying behind them and the next mark. And in the fluky breezes for the round the island race, you need to avoid patches of windless holes. And they're off on the 31st edition of the St. Martin Heineken Regatta. The first portion of the race takes the fleet on a short upwind leg before they turn and begin their clockwise circumnavigation of the island. When sailing to weather, the crew hikes out on the windward rail to keep the boat level and fast. Here come the big boats. The pink trimaran, Louis, has raced across the Atlantic single-handedly. Lloyd Thornburg's distinctive orange catamaran, Fado, is an all-carbon rocket built in South Africa. The Big Blue Ketch is the Heineken's largest entry, the 115-foot Sohana. As the fleet works their way around the turning points, there's a familiar sight at the front of the pack in CSA 2. Peter Holmberg and the all-star crew aboard Team INTAC. Despite the rising seaway on the windward side of the island, the Melges 32 handles the waves with ease. At the front of the CSA 5 class, the division in which Jaime Torres competes aboard Smile and Wave, the early leader is William Coates's J122, Outra Vez. With the rocky shores of the island providing a dramatic backdrop, Outra Vez sets her spinnaker for a downward portion of the course. Back aboard Team INTAC, the skilled Virgin Islanders are sailing a flawless race. After rounding the northern coast of St. Martin, they've opted for an inshore tack down the western shores, taking advantage of stronger winds and more favourable currents. With almost 30 miles of racing behind them, the finish line is in sight, and the crews are back on the rails for the final stretch. For Team INTAC, it's been a day to remember, as they top the leaderboard in CSA 2 with an impressive win. However, Jaime Torres and Smile and Wave have some catching up to do, finishing a distinct 7th in CSA 5. As you can see, we're not just sailing, we're having some serious fun here in St. Martin, on stage with St. Unku and Red Hots. Later, Joe and Annette will take us on board Fado, a multi-hull boat built from carbon fibre, about as high-tech as it gets. And up next, Robbie Ferrin, founder of the St. Martin Heineken Regatta, takes us back to the humble beginnings of this race's 31-year legacy. Stay with us. We're back in St Martin and Simpson Bay, and the view from the St Martin Yacht Clubs affords us the opportunity to enjoy the parade of boats making their way to the start of the race to Marigot.